Hello, everybody, and welcome to DM Writer's Room, a show where we demystify the DMing process by coming up with adventures, monsters, and magic items live. We're hopping on a few minutes late, which is deeply unfortunate because we are also going to need to end a little early. So if you are just tuning in, or if you turn in this first few minutes, we'll be with you shortly, just trying to sort of build up something here. The concept we already decided, thankfully, in the car on the way over. We were all texting while not driving, for sure. The woes of streaming to Twitch and YouTube while living in different parts of the world. You can't really control when you get those messages. We are going to be taking a monstrous concept and trying to make a big bad, lieutenants, and a couple of underlings. We don't need to flesh these out overly deep, right? The last time we did this, we mainly came up with names and concepts and attached a few abilities. And each of us have brought a concept, which hopefully will prove to be a sort of fruitful ground on which to build the rest of our idea. I will go first, and then Michael, and then Spencer, given the order that we are on YouTube. If we are in a different order on Twitch, go watch the YouTube. Mine is is sort of an amalgamation of a couple of folk tales that I have heard before, and one that also truckers see that supposedly warns them of potential ill fate. I just have the black dog. That thought of like you're getting out of your car and you look off in the woods and you just see something, but like not big necessarily, not like a werewolf, like a hound staring at you. I don't know if the hound then attacks you. I don't know if it is some beast of ill tidings. I just know that's my concept. Michael, go!
All right. First, I don't think it's unfortunate. I think it's a blessing in disguise. Though we're short, this is a challenge run.
There you go.
So my idea is turn beach day into not so easy day.
Is your concept Jaws?
No, I wish. No, I thought of the beach. We have a beach boss. It'd be like either a sand creation or sand creature.
And Spencer
call it like a castle crasher, and then its underlings are like shell beings, and then the third I don't know.
All right, so I'm gonna write beach boss dash crab, because you seem to be heading in sort of a crab direction. And Spencer has brought the concept of losing your internet, which is an interesting one for him to bring. He is stuck in a sort of face that is really quite powerful. For those of you who just listen, tune in on this. He looks, I don't even know, maybe, well, I don't know. We shouldn't.
He looks fed up with my idea.
He looks like he's not. He looks like he's not into Beach Boss at all. He looks like he is really not content. Well, with 10 minutes on the clock and it being a time crunch, Michael, I think we are going to have to just shuffle along and wait for Spencer to join back in. Let me check the old phone here.
I'm just gonna call him.
Oh, quick. He's calling me right now. 1 second, I'm gonna mute. Michael, entertain the audience.
Hi, people. So it doesn't quite have to be crab, but if you know anything, you have not muted yourself, Ethan. Uh-oh. Well, he has not muted himself. That's not great. Here, let's do this. All right. So, now I manually muted him. So something that I think is cool is the theory that everything turns to crabs or everything turns to lobsters. It's a really interesting evolutionary theory where lobsters are a really interesting creature. They actually don't have a biological death clock in them. And same thing with jellyfish. Lobsters, if I'm correct, they get to a point where genetically they get to a oldest as they can be, and then they start to like regress. I think that's super weird, but evolutionarily, it's the best thing ever. And throughout time, there have been times where we get to the point where something starts to look like a crab or a lobster, and then it becomes lobster.
You talking about
Here, Ethan,
crabification
once
or
I
whatever
had
it's
meet
called?
You. All right, Ethan, talk for a second.
Yeah.
There we go. I had to manually mute yourself because you were not muted on Discord.
No. It was. You talking about crabification over there? Oh, is he?
I am.
Is he back already?
I think so. He's not talking.
He's not.
I am talking crabification. And how that's a wild evolutionary trait that's both the scariest and best thing ever.
Yeah, the thought that it all comes up crabs in the end, man. You can do whatever else you want, but it all comes up crabs in the end.
They are the superior being.
Maybe there's a message in there. He's just two spinning blue blocks right now.
I know.
Oh.
Can I know what he said?
Internet went out, and he's hoping for the best.
Gotcha.
So how do we... Good gravy.
I feel bad about moving on because we don't have Spencer's idea. If we knew Spencer's idea, I wouldn't feel bad about moving on.
I know. Oops, sorry. I'm trying so hard to not mess up chat, but it keeps doing weird things on my end as Spencer tries to fix what's going on. So right now we are choosing between the Black Dog and Beach Boss Crab, and we're really holding out. Because for those of you, because you cannot see what we are seeing, I'm looking over at our Discord call, and I can see Spencer's block. I can see his face. He's not talking yet. So
he's lurking.
Let me say, I think if I was going to go with the Black Dog with this sort of extra-dimensional spirit, my first instinct would be it is a creature that attacks by inflicting bad luck. I think would be interesting. So like its main attack roll would be instead of being plus to hit and a bite, it would be like a dex save and you take damage as something unfortunate happens. Do you know what I mean? Like, rather than it ever rolling to attack you, just being near the Black Dog is just extremely dangerous. That was my sort of earliest concept.
That's a fun idea. Maybe.
Could it
All
be?
Right, we're good.
We've done it. We've done it.
Good.
We were vamping. I need you to know. We were vamping hard so that we could hear your idea and not just carry on without it. We were really putting the work in.
I started talking about the theory of crabification.
He did start talking about...
Oh, yeah, I love that.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I didn't spend 30 seconds coming up with my ideas. It was definitely worth waiting for. Here it goes. I also didn't hear Michael, so I'm going to pitch mine and I'm going to hear Michael say his.
So.
Mine is Nature and Nurture. That's the name of it. Essentially, my image is like a druidic cult or sect that is creating life and nurturing it, but is making it in sort of a terrible visage that's going to attack people. That's about as far as that idea goes. Michael, what was yours?
Mine is turning a fun beach day on its head, because everyone loves a fun beach episode. But now it's a fun beach episode turned into big bad, either sand monster or, as Ethan put it, crab monster. With like shell underlings and calling it the Castle Crashers.
So we got BBEB, Big Bad Evil Beach.
Yeah.
Is fun.
All right, I might hang up the call this time. No, so we've got we have the Black Dog, we have Beach Boss Crab, and we have Nature and Nurture, a druidic cult that is creating and seeding increasingly horrific creations into the world. Do we want to roll? Do we want to vote? Does anybody have a strong preference? I'll say I like mine a lot, but I like Spencer's a little better than mine. Michael, yours is about on par with my own.
Cool.
Spencer, do you have any...
We do rollsies. I think all of these are equally solid. I'm fine with a roll-off.
Sound good?
Who wants to
Everybody
roll?
take a d20. Whoever rolls higher gets it.
Oh.
Let me just very easily grab a d20.
I've got mine. It was a gift for Michael. Thank you, Michael, for my Christmas gift.
I have mine. It was a gift from me to me.
There you go.
I have my favorite dice.
I got
my
a
black
2.
and white. Ooh.
It's not me.
11.
3.
We're doing the crab.
We're doing the crab.
All right.
Now,
It
to
doesn't
be
have to be a
clear,
crab.
It doesn't have to be a crab. It has to be beach themed.
Yep.
That could
Because
be any number of
The
things.
thought that I had was it was like a sandcastle come to life.
I feel like I have to change this. I feel like I have to change the music. This is too. We've got this like
We gotta-
heroic.
Here's the
Beach
Beach
Boys
Boys.
I know. I've
Yeah,
got
let 'em go.
nothing. All right. So we're gonna go with Beach Boss. So number one, we have a very important decision to make. The description was silly. How high is the sillyometer? How high is the sillometer? How high is it on a scale of 1 to 5, with a 5 being flumps, and with a 1 being Lord Soth, Death Knight to the Queen of Dragons?
It's sort of like a beach episode day. I say it goes like between 4 and 5.
All right, we're at a 4, Spencer.
Yeah. I was gonna say 3 or 4 for a beach sode.
All right, I'm going 4 then. So the sillometer, or the sillymeter. So
I feel like it's
4.
been a while since we did a silly.
Yeah, I think since we did the
The gorilla.
little tree things,
The banana blights.
the banana blights.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that might be my last real goofy sode.
I can't think of one much goofier than the banana blights. If memory calls, the big bad at the end of that was a Balgura who was obsessed with evil bananas. So that was
Yep.
about as far. I think that's almost as far as you can go in that direction.
Uh-oh.
All right, Michael, we're just gonna forge ahead. So
Yeah. We made our decision. We're good.
I'm gonna just assume he'll be out for a while. All right, the silly meter. Gosh. There we go. Are you back?
I'm back.
Cool.
Dang, man. I'm really putting my technician hat on today. I've had to swap cameras around like 50 times. All right, so the silly meter is at a 4 out of 5, which means we are well and truly silly as we continue here. What's the challenge rating? What level are the party?
Solar up to max. Challenge rating up to max. No.
We're at a 4 out of 5 on the sillies. If we want to try to do a CR17 crab, I mean, whatever.
Wait,
Nah.
I need to clarify. When I said my 3 or 4 on the silly meter, is 1 the silliest or is 10 the
Yeah.
silliest?
5 is the silliest.
Oh, okay, then yeah, 3, 4 works. I was lost because of my internet connection.
You know, we went with dead serious with your decision. I don't know.
I was like 3 or 4, yeah, it's pretty much. But what I meant was 6 or 7 if it was a scale of 10, and 10 was the most silly. So we ended up on the right side. I
Yeah.
was just wrong.
It was a scale of 5, with 5 being peak
Yeah.
silly and 1 being no silly at all, with 1 being chronically unsilly, and we went with 4. So, we got a number 4 on the scale. What are we thinking? I'm not kidding. What party of players is meant to take on this nefarious beach-dwelling creature?
I don't think you can be more than Michael. Go ahead. What are you gonna say?
I was thinking like level 5. It's a little higher than some of our silly stuff, but not by much.
I was gonna say it couldn't be higher than 5, so that works for me.
Sure. Or we could just roll a d20. See what happens. All right, we're going to do level 5. All right, first things first. Do we want to start at the bottom or start at the top? Do we want to start with underlings or do we want to start with big bads? Also, if you're in the YouTube chat, I can't talk to you right now. I don't know what's going on
And
my
neither
end.
can
I
I.
can stream. Everything's fine. I just can't see chat. Bummer.
I think start with the top and go down because I think the top will give us our theme for our
Yes.
bottoms.
There's no
Whoa.
such thing as fighting one monster in D&D unless you want to have a boring swingy fight. So, who is this nefarious beach-dwelling monstrosity? Who is this crab god of the cerulean sea? Who is this sandworm? The sandworm of the golden coasts of Shalmithot? Like, who is this guy? Who is this doll? Who is this extra-dimensional sand beast? What is this thing? Are they
I
more
think that the
water
big
or are they
bad-
more sand? Like, are they beach only?
I think that it should be the BBEG, Beach Boy Evil guys. It's a band that
It-
shows up next.
That's a 5. That's a 5. No, that's a 5. That's a 5 on the silly meter. We're sticking it out at a 4.
Yeah.
We can't do the
We
Beach
gotta go to
Boy
4.
evil group. I can't. We're not doing it.
The first thing that I think was like a sand golem that takes place is like either sand, looks like sand castle sort of, or looks like goopy castle. We want to be a bit of a mix.
Sandcastle's a mimic, but I think the sand golem is awesome.
Okay. All right, we're getting somewhere. I like it. Sand construct would mean that somebody else constructed it. So I think, can we do a lateral move? Sand elemental comes to mind. My I'm trying to think of what all else it could be. A ghost that has possessed the sands, the ghost of a boy who died on that
That's
beach 30 years ago.
That's a Pokemon.
That's a
Hell yeah,
Pokemon?
even better.
That is a Pokemon.
That's-
Sandgeist.
Wild. That's crazy. That's
Can't use that name. We got to keep that in mind.
gotta keep away from that. All right, what other ideas do we have? How do we capture the spirit of the sand gets up and kills you?
It's the other idea. It's a cloud of seagulls.
It's like M. Night Shyamalan's
Old?
old beach.
Not the beach that makes you old.
It's the beach that makes you old.
Can I tell you something? The thought of a bad guy being like a seagull driven mad by power is I'm gonna bring that for our next for our next silly stream.
It's like when sea creatures get plastic caught around them because they don't have hands. The seagull got like a belt of giant strength wrapped around itself and it can't get it off, so now it's so crazy strong.
I do love that idea.
No, is that a 4 out of
That's
5?
5.
Is that a
That's
4?
a 5.
I don't know if that's a. Here's the thing. Now here's a real question. I think it's a 5 out of. I think it's a 5 out of 5 if if a seagull. For those of you just tuning in, I'm sorry. So we're coming up with a monster and then its underlings. And now the next sentence you're going to hear is, I think if the seagull is wearing a belt of giant strength, that's a 5 out of 5. But weirdly, I think if a seagull like swallowed the tome of golem creation, I think that's a 4. Like, is there a magic item if we make it a ring that like the ring of the guardian and a seagull ate it? I don't detest it. It just, we end up with a thing where I'm like, why is this evil? And we're immediately off. Like, are you gonna beat up the seagull? That can't be the end of our adventure.
Kill it. You kill it. No, you have to like shake it until it throws up the ring, and then you're safe.
I want to be very clear about something, and I want this for future prosperity. I said that thing about a seagull wearing a belt of giant strength, and 2 people left. So it's not that. So we can't do either that, or they were so disappointed that we weren't going to go with the seagull Macho Man Randy Savage that they wept and hung up the YouTube as a director's off. All right, let's take a big step back. We've all got the sillies. We had a couple technical difficulties and it's got us punchy. Let's ground. We're on the beach. We like the idea of a sand construct, something that like lifts itself up and out. I see a lot of potential options here that I am down with. We don't want to do the ghost because it's a Pokemon, and the seagull thing is a little too goofy. What is it? Just an elemental? Is there something else going on?
If we want to be a little whimsical, we could have it be like it'll still be something that was constructed, but it could be constructed from something way outside our league, and it's just like left here. The thought is like it's a sand sculpted dragon or sand sculpted worm.
Can I hit you
The
guys?
only issue again is, go ahead.
I'm gonna hit you guys with an easy one. A star fell from the sky and landed on the beach, and now there is a construct that has grown around the star.
The other option I had was back to the ghost idea. There's a ship that sunk off the coast, or there's a town that sunk into the ocean, a la Atlantis, and the ghosts of that place have risen and are now terrorizing the people nearby. So now you have to go back, you have to figure out that that's what's going on, find the sunken boat and or town, probably sunken boat, and do a little thing there. That gives us a bit of a through line.
So we've sunken boat, and we have something fell from the sky and brought life to the beach. Michael, vote.
I like the something fell from the sky.
Spencer, vote.
I'll remember that. I vote for mine.
All right, I'll flip a coin.
There you go.
Michael doxed himself for no reason. This is what we do it for. Spencer, do you want heads
All
or
right,
tails?
guys, hear me out.
Do you want heads or tails?
Tails.
You said you're the one that needs us to go early. We're on tails. We're doing fucking Spencer's boat idea or whatever.
Let's go, boats.
All right, so we're doing. Do you want to do the boat or the town? I think the
Boat.
town's.
It's gonna be way easier.
Oh, I completely disagree. I think the town's gonna be easier. The boat's gonna be
I
further.
feel like we'd have to populate the town more. The boat just sunk because there was no lighthouse on this beach. It sunk pretty close to the shore.
Okay. So there's a cliff near the beach because that's where lighthouses go.
Mhm.
Okay. Watching you go.
Actually, in the Forgotten Realms, they put lighthouses everywhere. There doesn't need to be a cliff. They just build it really tall.
I can't do this. I can't. We've got to. That's a 5 out of 5 on the silly meter if I've ever heard one. That's ridiculous. Okay. So we have Cliff Beach, shipwreck.
The lighthouse light went out a couple years ago. Nobody replaced it, and that's an important note for the lore.
Lighthouse out. Lighthouses are so this lighthouse is either magical or a big fire. Is it magical or is it a big fire? Did somebody let the fire go out or did the magical thing go out?
Magical thing went out.
Lighthouse out, magic. Okay, so the ship wrecks into the cove. The beach is left untouched, but we still see the strange whale-like skeleton of the broken ribs of this destroyed ship sticking up out of the water. 1 year later on the anniversary of its destruction, 5 years later on the anniversary of its destruction, do we want a short timetable or a long timetable?
I think short, probably 1 year, yeah.
Okay, 1 year anniversary. This is how you get good at this nonsense. 1 year anniversary, great. There's not a town on the beach, but there is a town up the road a ways, or is there a town further down the beach that is a fishing town? It's a fishing town, or is it a place where they will frequently come down and go to the beach?
Frequently,
probably
and it's like a markety town, so like people come here to frolic and have fun.
Mm-hmm. Go out style 4th of July celebrations and all.
Yep, town up the way, comma, beach is joyous. And then I'll just write like temple to the sea, because we need a reason why this town doesn't just say, oh, don't go to the beach anymore. And the answer is, this is a town that is devoted to, I don't know, Shelem Theranal, the elven god of the ocean or whatever. They have some temple to some deity, and so it matters to them that they go down to the beach and they are afraid that this creature will never leave. Cool. So the collective souls that were on that ship that crashed because the lighthouse was not being maintained have returned as a vengeful amalgamation fused together in a form of terrible sand to attack the people on the beach.
They're getting vengeance by attacking the beach because they never put the light back onto the lighthouse, and that's why they crash. So they're just trying to enact revenge wherever they can.
Great. So my only problem, there's something we need to solve for here, right? If we want to make a big bad and the things that serve the big bad and then their little skitterlings, we have made a middle tier monster. We have not made something that is in charge of people that are in charge of smaller things. We have made a middle tier. So we need to fix something. I have 2 offers. They are very simple. Is the captain the bad guy and this is a lieutenant? Or is this the bad guy and we need to make it be doing more damage to a wider area and add something that is bothering this beach in particular? Right? Because my first instinct would be that this actual amalgam is in the ship, and that one of its things is attacking the beach, and that thing can create servants. My other option is the captain of the ship, the Dread Pirate Roberts, haunts it to this day, and this is one of many beaches on this coastline being accosted.
I think Dread Pirate Roberts, for the simple reason that when you talk to the townsfolk, you can get some lore about him before you go to the ship.
Mm-hmm. And what makes it funny is, I think somebody sabotaged the magic item so that he wouldn't land on this beach. That's why they crashed.
Oh, he
So here,
he was a famous pirate, and they made him crash by disabling the lighthouse, but broke some rule of the sea in so doing. Okay, huge. Captain Ghost summons allies. I love that. One of the Captain Ghost's lieutenants is the Sand. I'm going to just tentatively say Sand Hulk. We will just return to that.
Easy.
So this lighthouse, okay, so that changes a little bit of our structure here. So we have this huge dominating cliff face with a lighthouse atop it. A year ago, this famous pirate was sailing down the coastline. People recognized the ship. He had not flown the flag that meant he was here a raiding, and so technically was just like any other ship. But not fearing what might happen, despite that, the townspeople turned off the lighthouse, and the ship ran aground, lost all hands in the process. Great. We can just shift that scale up one notch very easily. It's not one town, it's 3. And that's it. We will be addressing one beach and then finding the source and dealing with it. You don't need to do all 3, but you could do all 3 if you wanted to do it that way, right? You go to these various places. Thank you, Couch Commander, for the subscribe.
Thank you very much.
We go to these various different places. We slowly discover that there was this famous pirate captain who was never seen again after coming through here. And then we find the lighthouse keeper drinking himself into a stupor. He's been having strange dreams of the sea calling him to walk into its waves. This is just classic fantasy. I don't feel the need to do too much extra beyond that, other than make a note of Lighthouse Keeper. Let me switch. I'm already onto a new little half-sheet legal pad here.
So that's Lieutenant Sandhulk. His name is Sandy.
Love that.
Lieutenant Sandy.
Unrelated.
Famous Captain Dash, pirate, no flag.
Oh, and I could see the reason he's still not alive, but in undeath is because that god of the sea that is a patron of this town essentially wanted to curse them for breaking that law of keeping the lighthouses on, regardless of who might approach. So they have lost the favor of that god even in this moment.
Great, I love it. So we have the captain and we have the Sand Hulk, an amalgam of a number of his people, probably those that got onto one of the lifeboats that drowned on that lonely night. I need 2 others that are not a big Sand Hulk, and I think one of them has to be some sort of large crab.
I was thinking, crab is fun. I was thinking a parrot.
Buddy, we're getting up to that 5. What? Keep going. How was
4 feels like a parrot.
What?
He ate a ring.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Undead parrots a 4 out of 5 on the silly meter?
Yeah.
What the hell's a 5?
Is the big bad evil Beach Boys. If we're being so clear about what 5 is.
All right, keep talking to me about this parrot then, because what the hell does this parrot do?
I think it has psychological damage with its words.
Oh, it's like a mocking thing?
Yeah.
Oh my god. It just flies over the beach yelling insults. That is hilarious. Bardic inspiration for its allies, for sure.
I'm writing parrot psychic down.
Yeah,
I guess I'm writing parrot psychic down. We need a third thing, and I need this thing to be a crab. I need this thing to have. It can be a pirate with a crab claw. It can be, but I need a crab of some. We need to get crabby on it. If we're gonna do beach bad guy, we gotta have a crab.
Crab with pirate hat.
That's its shell. Yeah. I mean, I think that if we've got the goddess being or god being a blessing to this group. To this pirate group, I could see there being a Kraken-esque crab that it is sent out to defend that ship, so he can get his revenge.
Oh, but that kind of puts
something
us
like that.
Because like the Sand Hulk, I can see reasonably splitting into a couple of different guys. Remember, you never want to fight. This is DM Writer's Room. We demystify the DMing process by coming up with monsters and telling you tips as we go. Number 1 tip: there's no such thing as fighting one monster unless you want your combat to suck. So even Sandhulk is going to have some sand allies, and that's fine. The Parrot Psychic is very easy. The Parrot Psychic will be able to, like, uses its mind control to, like, call on aid. That just makes sense to me. I think that's, without too much work. I think literally a flock of seagulls might be one of the things that it calls down or something stupid.
Oh, good.
Something in that avenue I think is great. It could probably also conjure, like, psychic apparitions, like the equivalent of Phantasmal Killer, things like that. If we are having this sort of crab-like bad guy, my first instinct was much like the Sandhulk, was a sort of crab hive of some kind of terrible stripe or shape. If we wanted it to be something a little bit more connected to this sand god, we can really get a little bit Looney Tunes, and I won't be too mad. You guys know what a Sahuagin is? The, like, fish people with the tridents?
Nope.
So they're like sea elves, but turned up to 11 with frills and evil. I think that this sea god, if it has brought aid to this pirate seeking vengeance, I think that maybe we could do like a pair of crab men. Like, I think we could do some, like, a Gift of the Sea, 2 champions of this thing, if we want to be that direct, if this is a way to, like, discover that connection. But if we want to stick with it being the pirates, then I think we have to do something a little bit more like I'm imagining the dead body of a pirate with, like, those little skittering sand crabs, like, crawling out of its chest and over its shoulder and out of its stomach and into its mouth is what I'm imagining, right? I don't want to go full Looney Tunes because we have to be playable here, right? And everything else is pretty up the middle. Even the psychic parrot has the sort of element of creepiness to it, which is seeing this, like, undead skeletal parrot, like, yawping terrible truths about your own psyche to you. I do think is something that we think is funny, and then you're playing and it is described and you're like, what the fuck?
You hear echoing from above. Yeah.
I'm cool with it either. What's Swahilan?
The Sahuagin.
Sahuagin. I'm cool with it either being Sahuagin or two people that are infested with the crabs. But I think it'd be cool if they're posted up as guardsmen at the tower, or not tower, the temple, and that's kind of that clue in that the god is angry.
Temple's in the town, right?
Oh, I thought it was on the beach.
No, the lighthouse is on the cliff by the beach. The beach is just a beach. We could say there's the temple at the beach, but
can I? Okay, a pitch. There is a cliff. There is 2 beaches. These terrible beings are the lighthouse is the temple. They are protecting it. They aren't letting them light the lighthouse, and so no trade ships are coming to this town anymore.
So that's the revenge is 2-sided.
Nothing can come here safely.
Yeah.
I think Pirate Hive is a slightly more is stronger on our concept than Crab Sahuagin, so I think we're gonna go.
I'm cool with that.
It was twins that worked on this ship that got taken over by these crabs.
Okay,
we can just write that in.
I already did. Don't worry about it.
Eye patches, so that's how you tell them apart.
All right, buddy, you kind of creeping up towards that 5, huh? Kind of creeping up. You're starting to tiptoe up towards that 5, huh? All right. So number 1, we have our captain. Let's start to flush out these monsters. Got a name for this dude yet?
The captain?
Oh, again,
Captain,
normally we interact
sure.
with chat as much as we can. I cannot see the YouTube chat today. I do not know why. So, alas, I suppose if you would like to have your voice heard, mosey on over to Twitch, and maybe Dear Michael can get your word out.
I'll see if I can see our YouTube chat.
I have it pulled up now, and my Wi-Fi seems stable, so I can. And that was good timing, Ethan, because James just commented and said, animated seaweed Hulk. Advantage on grapple to drag to the ocean, whip attack, thorn whip, and resistant to fire.
We were just about to talk about what is actually on the ship with the captain. So very well timed, James. I like a I like a sort of drowned sailor seaweed witch kind of vibe. I think that's pretty good. Okay, Captain. Do we want to give this a name or do we just want to move on?
We give him a name.
Captain
Ahab. No, wait, we can't do that.
Jack. Jack Ahab.
Yeah, good old that. You know what that's like? That's like when people talk about playing like Cyberpunk, and they're like, "It's Jim Cyberpunk," and they're talking about the main character.
Exactly.
Okay, let's just do. I don't know. I can
sea salt scriff.
get. What are you? I'm gonna just turn on the fantasy name generator. Captain Aronnax.
Now, to be fair, I think that sounds like a dragon too much, but I do think the ship being the sea salt works great, so we can keep that.
All right, the sea salt sounds too much like a dragon. Getting kind of picky over there for the guy that doesn't come up with the names.
Captain Shriff is fine. You said sea
Shriff?
salt Shriff. Remove sea salt. Captain.
I said
Shriff.
scriff.
Oh,
That-
Shriff.
But griff
Either
works
way.
too.
Scriff, Shriff. I don't care either way. I think either of those work.
I like
Let's
Shrift
get
better.
this mouthfeel. Shriff. There we go.
Shrift sounds better. Captain
Captain
Shriff.
Shriff.
Captain Shriff is encountered on the crashed pirate ship. He is seeking revenge against this place and is aided by a god of the sea. We don't need to worry about naming the god of the sea because that would depend on what your setting is, and we aren't going to do that for you. So, Captain Shriff is aided by, we have at least one of them, a seaweed weaver. Seaweed Weaver is a control monster, to use a little 4E parlance. It is grappling. It is pulling. Huge. What are at least 2 other guardians that the captain employs to stay?
Sharks.
Okay, how does he have control of the sharks? Are they just sharks?
Yeah, just best friends. No.
Hang up the call. No, okay.
Yeah. He's already got the power of the Sea Queen behind him. I could see him having a couple sharks as his boys when he's emboldened by the goddess of the sea.
Did he
or
already
goddess.
have the sharks, or does he now have the sharks?
He now they weren't partying before he sunk. He just got them as guardians when he was brought back.
Okay, what is the name of the shark that sailors know to be careful of on the reef? What's his name? Is it Old Bones? Is it
Yeah.
Coral creeper.
Scartail.
is it
Scarfin.
Scartail? Is it blue? Is it blue? Is it Old Blue? Is it the
I think Old Blue is fun.
Toothless.
No, we can't do that one.
Old
And he's all
Blue
black.
is a, what do you call the like a skirmisher, right? Dashing in and out of
Mhm.
combat, using its extra movement to its advantage. Skirmisher, not necessarily an ambusher, right? This is something more about like dominating force and the odd logistics of fighting underwater. So it would be less about grappling and more about outmaneuvering. So I'm just going to write maneuver, right? Our Old Blue is sort of taking the monk position on this enemy team. I need a third thing. We have this sort of seaweed Hulk or seaweed hag, I think, are both very fun options. We have Old Blue, a shark long feared on this reef, who has not been seen in many weeks, who is discovered to be under the thrall of Captain Shriff. I'm liking the name better as we continue. We need a third terrible sea beastie.
The Turtle Man, super high AC tank.
Okay. So one of the, so is this a Pirate Man Reborn, or is this a, right? Because we need to stick on theme. We can't just wander off into oceanic funland. How did this pirate end up a turtle? We can't just do whatever. We gotta stick to the theme. We have a concept, damn it.
He was Lieutenant Tortoise. He had a tortoise shell as his shield.
Oh, and it
Gnome pirate.
merged with his body after death. He had sat on him for too long and connected. I could see that. He's mostly man with the turtle shell shield. That's
Okay. Turtle Man. See, now that's a 4 out of 5 on the silly meter.
cool. He's right there.
Turtle Man. Tank. We already have the sort of grappling mechanic. We already have the sort of fast maneuvering person. The Turtle Man tank. How do we make the Turtle Man tank helpful? How do we make it so that he can actually interpose himself between him and others? Can he straight up like take damage on behalf of others? Is he
Do you have Sentinel?
a heavy hitter? This is not an ironic question. How does he interact with this very fast creature and this controlling creature? I know he's a tank. What makes him a tank?
Yeah.
Is it that he has a high AC and he tells the captain to get behind him?
Compel duel.
I would be so fine with high AC Sentinel, just to be like, now the DM gets to do it, because I'm tired of dealing with it as a DM. Now you get to experience it.
Great, so we have Captain Shriff, the Seaweed Weaver, Old Blue, and Turtle Man. I think we've nailed that. I got no notes. All right, moving down to our next, we have We have Sandy, the Sand Hulk. For those of you who were not on stream earlier, so the Sand Hulk was the first idea that Michael actually sort of originated with. It is the thought that these sort of many bodies... Michael originated the sand thing, and then Spencer put the spin on that it was this sort of ghost amalgam. So a number of ghosts sort of knotted together. I'm imagining, like, if I could put forward our powder guy, whoever is in charge of the cannons, and then his cannoneers were fused, and he can, like, send them out. And so we have this large, high AC health form that can give up 15 HP or whatever, maybe, to summon allies, or just starts with 4 allies. And we have... So first we have this sort of big sand creature, our central figure. The way we are describing it, this thing is either a, like, grappling another sort of seaweed-esque thing that is shifting around the battlefield, or it takes the classic role of what in modern parlance would be a construct, but traditionally and still very frequently is a golem, right? It would be a big, strong, heavy-hitting thing with a low AC, but like 130 hit points.
I was thinking it could take the piece of the rogue, where it's like it's shifting through the sand, it's attacking, hiding.
Okay,
I think when it's split up, it would be able to do that. So when you're first encountering it, in that encounter number 1, it would be like 4 of these things shifting into the sand. But when you go to that final fight, they amalgam together, and then it's a construct with high HP, high damage, low AC. I think would work as both.
I think I think a mix of the two must be true. We can't fight one monster. We keep doing that to ourselves. We keep backing up.
It would still have the other ones. It's just the main body would be there while you're fighting 3 stealth killers.
Gotcha.
If I can add one more thing that's true for it, because it's made from the cannoneers and stuff, its big form can shoot pieces off as, like, cannons.
It has a shrapnel
It has
attack.
like a ranged. That's great.
Yeah.
And you can also describe when it punches you, there is a like there is black powder mixed in with the sand or something. I think that's pretty cool. What do we call it? I'm just going to have to ask this straight up. I've never thought of it until now. The term powder monkey is what they would call that.
That feels
Is that
like
as
a
bad as
word.
it sounds?
Yeah.
I've heard it on
Yeah.
I've heard it very casually in other fantasy things. I'm gonna hop on the Google and see what they have to say about that.
I don't think it has any bad intention. I think that's what a cannoneer was called. That's just like guesswork. But I don't think it has bad intentions.
It
doesn't
doesn't
have
have
does.
bad
bad
intentions. You called them that because they were kids.
Oh.
They were 12 to 14 and would
Gotcha.
carry the powder magazine to the artillery aboard naval ships. They called them that because they were small and fast.
Fair
So the
enough.
little ones, before they re-amalgam, I think would be called powder monkeys.
Are
And
they-
that's...
Are they kids?
We're not going to get into the details.
We're not gonna.
If you want
yes.
that, you can say, but we won't.
And these are not even skirmishers. These are full assassins.
Yeah. It's basically like the shadow, just in sand instead of in darkness.
Great. All right, our second lieutenant monster is our parrot that does psychic damage.
I love it.
All right, my only
I think
real
we can leave it right there.
I think a lot of it, the parrot psychic damage I'm already getting without much issue here. I think it is almost a sort of support monster, right? It is
Yeah.
Yeah.
buffing allies, debuffing the party, doing some damage, but for the most part, it is, making people do wisdom saves or be frightened, making people do wisdom saves or blah, blah, blah. And I think that's great. What is the ally and companion of the parrot fight? Like, what is the other force there? My first instinct is, a swarm of seagulls and a cadre of crabs that it is using the wildlife that it is able to influence. But I could also see it conjuring spectral duplicates or things like images that are real enough to hurt. Like, is it able to call forth
That's pretty cool.
spirits or something like that? Like, is it a sort of ghost cleric in that way, or is it more of a ghost summoner?
I like the idea of it issuing commands a la the captain, because it's mimicking the voice of the captain, and having ghostly crew appear and do damage and fight. I think that's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Ghost
You
crew.
hear this like hearty bellow from above, a yahar, and then these things show up, and then you start getting insults hurled at you through like a misty, foggy night, and you can't even really see what's calling out. It sounds like the captain's flying above you, and it's weird.
And we won't do like the straight up 1 HP thing, but I think that these will be true minions. These are small punchable fellows.
Yep.
We're basically sending bandits in. You're fighting a bunch of little bandits.
And then the Crab Hive twins.
Mm.
All right. We don't have a lot of casters here, which is fine. We mostly have grapplers and up-close fighters.
Well, I mean, we fundamentally, for the record, as far as my personal monster design goes, the parrot is a
there's
caster.
no real.
It's just that I don't want to give a GM 55 spells to read. Tends to be my sort of strat. But one of these guys being one of them being a straight up caster and the other one being a straight up soldier archetype might be a really strong choice.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
What I'd say, son? Everyone say hi to Hecate.
Yo,
Caught me yawning. What's up?
up?
I do not mean to correct, but I'm assuming that name is just Hecate.
Hecate is the Greek titan of magic.
And isn't that pronounced Hecate?
It might be Hecate or it might be Hecate.
Hecate, get in the comments. Hecate, give us that phonetic breakdown. Okay, so the Crab Hive twins, one of them is a caster, the other one is not. I think that's great. I have no issue there. Do we have any particular extra spin we want to add on that? If there's two of them, I don't actually think we need to do much more. I think they're just strong. I think that just fighting the two of them, even for a party of 4, is just quite a difficult prospect.
They have said it's Hecate.
Well, la-dee-da.
Yeah.
I've always heard Hecate, so that's just what I was rolling with. So we've got the caster and the soldier. Is there anything else we want to add to what either of those two are doing in the combat? My number one question, is our caster throwing around fire bolts and ice spells and things? Are they conjuring seawater and making people drown on land? Are they conjuring the animals of the sea in spectral form? Like, what are they doing?
I think one's water-based, one's earth-based. So I think water spells and like mold earth, not mold earth, but similar-esque.
Spencer, your thoughts?
I was gonna say it is an evocator. One of them's an evoker, and the other one is just a soldier. So only one of them's really doing any magic, and it would be things like blasting fire bolts, making water spawn into the lungs, but they're not summoning other creatures. I don't think that we need that.
Okay, so
in this
evoker, sea theme.
Yeah.
Hecate has asked what we're doing. We are making It's not really one shot, kind of.
I gotcha. So what we're
yeah.
doing, we've done this before a few times. So on DM Writer's Room, we try to come up with monsters and adventures and things live to sort of show A, how sort of ragtag and hectic it can be, and B, just sort of the things that bring us joy as we move through it as a unit. Sometimes we'll make settings. Today we're doing something we've done before, where we try to make like a little pyramid of monsters. We try to make the thing that is in charge, a couple of its immediate lieutenants, and then the little helpers that sort of fill in the space below. Michael won our theme roll off, and so we are doing a beach theme. And what has shaken out over the course of the last, I would say hour, but we had pretty bad technical difficulties, 45 minutes or so, is we are on two beaches with a cliff side that divides the two of them, and there are two towns spread out across the area that worship a god of the sea. Those two towns, hearing that a pirate captain was sailing down the bay, fearing for their safety, even knowing that you are never supposed to extinguish a lighthouse, even if you believe that maybe there are ne'er-do-wells involved, extinguished it all the same, even though the lighthouse itself was a temple to this sea god. The pirate ship crashed, all hands were lost, and in a fit of terrible rage, the sea god blessed the pirates with a second unnatural life. And so, Captain Shriff and his immediate crew stay on the ship and send attackers up the beaches to keep people from lighting the lighthouse or being able to use those beaches. And so as a result, no trade ships come this way, and the towns are starting to choke and have hired you to wash away their sins in a very literal way. We're just coming up with monsters. We've already come up with Captain Shriff and his, I assume, probably like first mate, boatswain, and whatever the thing is that's not the boatswain. Sandy the Sand Hulk, who is in charge of the powder monkeys, these like little sand assassins that it can conjure, a parrot that acts as a sort of support monster for a ghostly crew that it commands, and now finally the things protecting the lighthouse, the crab, two twins that are kind of hives for crabs that crawl in and around their skin, one of whom is a caster who does sea-themed evocation. So like instead of fireball, it would be like a lance of ice or pressurized water, and instead of immolation, it would be making somebody's lungs fill with seawater while they are on land, basically just keeping the damage that is sensible while swapping out some of the other things to be a little bit more functional. And now we are going to pivot to the soldier character, the other of this pair of twins.
They said nice. They make subclasses.
Very fun.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, very, very fun.
Does the soldier have a crab claw?
For sure.
Hell yeah.
Huge. Crab claw. There's not too much of a bit to have with a soldier that is alongside a caster, right? Their bit is high AC, stand in front.
Yep.
Just not much else to it than that, which I think is fine.
The other bit I could see is if they have touch spells, the claw acts as a spellcasting focus. Did I cut out?
Just a little.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You're good though.
So the claw on the fighter acts as a spellcasting focus. So when it hits, the evoker can cast magic through that for touch spells.
Oh no! I love
That's
that.
a very cool idea.
Like a familiar, like higher level familiars, you can cast spells through them. That is absolutely brutal. I think that's great.
The only other thing I was thinking about with the normal guy, him being a swashbuckler, because I always think swashbucklers with seafaring.
Yeah, so instead of like plate armor shield high AC, this is professional duelist high AC. They have a scimitar and meet you on the beach, arm extended, and you're like, oh no, we can't let this happen. The other thing I like about that is swashbuckler rogues do more damage when they manage to fight you one-on-one. And so I really like the idea that this thing's priority is not to wade into the middle of you, it is to dance around you and grab people by the face and discharge the spells of its magical casting brother, who also has a crab claw that can maybe do some feats of unnatural strength. When you get too up close to it, it can like push people, and when it takes the push attack, it pushes them 20 feet instead of 10 or something silly like that. I think is pretty solid.
Oh, good.
Heck, you just said that they love the idea that we all have. Thank you very much. We do too.
Thank you so much.
I'm very much vibing with these ideas. It's very fun.
Now, I do know we need to run a little bit on the short end today. We are at about the hour mark. It is about 8:30. We normally run until 9:30. So I will ask, because I didn't ask before, how early is early? We got 23 more minutes? Or do we have none?
I think we can probably hit up to 8:45. We want to wrap up a couple more deets.
All right, so we've got 8 on the clock here. Go back and, if you just tuned in towards the end, I've got great news. This is going to be a nice compact episode. Go just, when you're finished up, catch the first part that you missed. Also, we just finished up for, just because we've got a good density of people that are active right now, we did just finish up the Prince of Charming, so maybe go watch a little 9-episode Monster of the Week's arc while you're at it. So, yeah, we've got 8 minutes on the clock. The only really questions that I'm left with, right? We have the captain, we have the crew. I think the ship is going to be very fun because we can, especially being underwater, create kind of levels. There's going to be some like play with getting onto like the forecastle at the one end of the ship and moving down and up and around the wheel and things for extra cover. I think that's great. Is there any other sort of mechanical latch key that we are missing here? Like, do they need something to start the lighthouse? This god, is it okay with them fighting off is this a challenge that the townspeople are supposed to overcome, and so they assume that they are going to fight these things? Or will they be resisted by the sea itself, right? Will the lighthouse ever function again? That's my question.
I'd say Haggy said that they can share a subclass if interested as well. I don't know if we have time for that right now.
Yeah, we gotta jump off. But
sadly,
we meet every week. We do meet every week.
We do meet every week. So next time, I would be very interested in a subclass.
And if you just want to share it now and in the future, drop it in chat or drop it in the comments. People will see it now and now and forever. We've got to get back. We've only got we got 5 more minutes and we're wandering off the path. I won't allow it. What else does the god do?
First answer. It is a test for the townsfolk. The pirates on the ship have the crystal that lights the lighthouse, or the item, the permanent flame, whatever it is. Probably permanent flame because it's underwater and that'll be super cool to look at on the ship.
Oh god, yeah.
At night you can see the twinkle of light out off the shore. Great. So you go out, you grab the permanent flame, and you can bring it back to the lighthouse, light it, and the town is forgiven. The towns are forgiven for their ne'er-do-well nature. The ship, the only thing I would add on the ship is potentially having the ghost ship be something that moves around. That way there's some active shit going on, but that's all.
I could. I'm trying to stay as far away from underwater combat rules and BS as I can, right? As it is, it's crashed against the rocks. Maybe half the battlefield is in and half is out of water, and so we have a way for people to escape that and try to force the captain out of the water. If the ship is floating around and sailing away, it's just adding a lot of steps. We need to get a boat. We need to get to the ship. We need to stay on the ship. When people get pushed off, they get left behind. We're adding a lot of... where's that shark coming from if the ship is on the water? We're adding a lot of steps, and I don't...
I'm very okay with being half in, half out. I think that's a good mix.
We have 4 minutes. What's the magic item? You best the captain. You collect the ever-bright flame. You bring it back to the top. It starts playing. It's just like the end of Phantom Menace. Some guy holds up a light orb, and it's like, like we do the whole thing. And then, is it the captain's scimitar? Is it a spoke of the wheel that will guide your way? Is it a compass that makes it so that you travel twice as fast on the sea? What's the item?
I was thinking it was his eye patch.
I was thinking the eye patch as well, and I do have a pitch for what the item does. Did you have something you wanted?
No, I didn't. It was only the eye patch thought.
All right,
just an eye patch thought.
So just a typical eye patch thought.
Big rock fact energy on that one. All right, go ahead.
The idea I had was the original proposed use for an eye patch, beyond just covering up if you've lost an eye, is that you could flip it to the other side and have night vision as you enter into the bottom end of a ship. Your eyes will have already been adjusted to the dark. So what that eye patch gives you is blind sight up to 30 feet. It's just built in.
At level 5? I don't know, man.
Only one person.
I'd give you blind sight. As a GM, I'll give you
tremor sense.
blind sight for 10 feet. I'll do. I don't know.
I was
Blindsight for 10.
I was thinking 15 because it was only the one eye. So yeah.
You have it could half 10 to 5. You get 5 feet of blind sight. Whatever it is, I think that we've got some version of blind sight from the captain's eye patch.
Okay, so blind sight 10/15.
We did get one comment, which was the ship only appears during low tide. The rest of the time, it's fully submerged.
That's great. I love that.
I think that's fun. You time out the combat that way.
And I think there's also the benefit of, for the record, there are rules for underwater combat, and they are incredibly punishing. So I think it also just rewards the players for thinking about that, for saying, how will we fight underwater? And somebody being like, well, when the tide is low, you can see the ship on the rocks. And so they have to attack in this very tight window of time. I think that's great. The eye patch ambiently gives you 10 or 15 feet of blind sight. What is its activated ability that you can use once per long rest?
Ooh.
What can you do once per long rest?
Um,
Spectral speed, but only
Grant-
but only with a swim speed.
Oh, hilarious!
That's
That's really
very
good.
Hilarious,
fun.
objectively useless, but so powerful. Unless you're doing like a real.
Until it's not useless.
That's true.
And then it's incredible.
I actually had an idea for a magic item, and we always try and give viewers things in our campaign. It's a hook arm that can hide gold in like a bag of holding. It's like a big wallet.
A pirate wallet. That's pretty fun.
That is pretty fun.
I could see that as a secondary gift as well. At level 5, one magic item you could always populate with a secondary.
And a
one.
bag of holding is, if memory serves, common or uncommon. That is pretty low on the totem pole, so we don't really need to worry about it. I think summoning something to bring you around underwater, maybe not. But I could see it as like a ripcord. Does it give water breathing?
I was gonna say it's old blue is the familiar.
That's
that gets
exactly what I was
summoned.
Yeah, I'll add
You're
old
right.
blue. So here's what I'll say. I think that we could add a really stupid feature to this item that I think would be extremely funny. I think if you are out of the water, you can use the eye patch to summon like a spiritual weapon of old blue that can attack with your bonus action for a few rounds.
Yeah.
And I think if you are underwater, it is stronger. I think I love the idea of an item where it's like above the water, old blue hits for 1d8 plus like 4 piercing damage. Under the water, old blue hits for 2d6 plus 5, and so it encourages them to try to get this shark. I love giving the players an item that are like, how do we get the boss underwater? And are like really trying
Cleric, cast create water, quick!
yeah, exactly. I think is really cool. Old blue attack. The only reason I want to go with the sort of spiritual weapon motive is if we turn it into like a summon ally, find familiar, summon demon thing. Then we've got to roll initiative for old blue, and we got to track old blue's hit point. Like, we got to do a bunch of stuff. Whereas if it's like, spectral blue, and then is just floating in the air, swimming around and biting people, I think it's a little bit more direct, and that can kind of help. And with that, it is exactly 8:45. So for those of you who watched, you witnessed a tour de force performance as in an hour and 9 minutes with about 15 minutes of technical difficulties, we have managed to whip up, I think, quite the fun version of this sort of beachfront adventure. The party travels to this famous resort town to have a beach episode, only to discover that they have to do another fight with some weird pirate. They have another thing that they have to do, and they fight a sort of series of fun and fictitious enemies before eventually ending up saving the two towns, getting the eye patch, and being able to summon old blue, the shark, as an ally and companion in future fights, albeit once a day. I'm going to call that a win. I'm going to call that a big W. I got no problems there.
That's great.
With that, we here at Foolhardy Press have 3 shows that you can tune into, and they are all at 7:30 p.m. Sometimes we have to start a little bit late. Lately, especially with the winter season, we've been having some technical difficulties. 2 of us live in sort of areas where the weather can really interfere with us. I would say that Michael does as well, but Michael's is pretty limited to a couple of weeks. Couple of weeks out of the year.
Yeah, we're at the end of hurricane season. I'm pretty good. There was word of one hurricane maybe build a little power, but I think I'm all right.
It's going to be fine. So those shows are all at 7:30. The first one is on Sundays. That is Game Masters, Masters of Games, where we play and attempt to master or have already mastered a series of video games. Right now we're playing Baldur's Gate 3. We're just about to finally get to Act 2. We've been working on that for quite a while as we jumped around to a couple of other games. Who knows, we might jump around to another game here in a minute. On Mondays, you can catch The Party Makes Things Worse. You have literally just missed the finale of our 9-episode mini arc, The Prince of Charming, that Spencer ran using the Monster of the Week system, which was an absolute hoot. So when you finish this, go watch 18, 19 hours of content. Go take that in, see what you think. Coming up starting next week, if, God willing and the creek don't rise, will be The Party Makes Things Worse. I do not have a title for the season yet, but we will be going on a sort of eerie, horror-tinged, deep dive adventure as they delve into a great and ancient dungeon looking for treasure and hopefully not TPKing on the way. More details to follow as we think of a better way to pitch it. To be perfectly frank, this has been you've caught us literally at the start of the turnaround to that next thing. And then of course on Tuesdays you can catch DM Writer's Room, where we demystify the DMing process by coming up with monsters, magic items, adventures, settings, locations, a game system one time. We've had quite a lot of fun doing that here in this space. Absolutely check out Foolhardy Press on TikTok and YouTube. Spencer has been an absolute powerhouse over there, so you have lots of great content to catch up on. Leave a comment, leave a like, leave a subscription. Do what you gotta do. And of course, check us out on DriveThruRPG, where you can check out our first adventure, The Lich's Dollhouse, and maybe sometime in the next 3 to 9 business years, you can catch some other material that we've been sort of cranking out in this good and decent time. Kicking up the YouTube, working on other things, alas. We are people with many responsibilities. And with all of that, thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you here, I guess next week, probably on Sunday, if you're not a loser. What?
True.
What?
Fact.
Catch you here next week. Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Peace out.
Y'all.